Namaste, Jai Bharat. Besant was a close associate of Trump, rather requests Bharat to be with them in finishing of China. These are the kind of expressions that the Americans usually make in their kind of language. American, as people say, requesting Bharat to be with the US to finish off China. Alright, this is the kind of things which they know, which they are used to. Destroy someone and build up someone. Everything, whatever they do, is for their own advantage. With others are all instruments because they don't understand what is intrinsic value and how intrinsic value is against instrumental value. For Americans and many other European world, values are instrumental. There is nothing like intrinsic value. There's nothing like intrinsic relations. Everything is conditional. Everything is subject to their advantage. Some condition, some other condition to their advantage. Otherwise, there is nothing. So everything depends upon many other factors to hold as what it is. So this is the problem. Now, this Besant is trying to take use rather. This is the right word. They are trying to use Bharat as an instrument because China they find as a threat to them. China is indeed a threat to them. Our difference with China is only political. Political in the sense the communism is something which a democracy and a Hindu can live with. It's difficult for a Hindu to be a communist. When he becomes a communist, he ceases to be a Hindu. For all its functional reasons, I'm talking functionally, not structurally. And that it's difficult for a Hindu to live as a communist and democracy to be communist. And China is not that kind of a communist which you find in the books. They have their own version of communism, of course, which is permitted within the Marxian theoretical fold with a limit, and then they have no limit. They have reinvented their own version of communism, though, and it has nothing much serious to do with Marx. That is also there. So this is something which is a hindrance between Bharat and China. Otherwise, the people of China and the people of Bharat had been centuries and centuries and thousands of years, tens of centuries had been in relation to one another in a very positive manner, especially on the basis of knowing one another, knowledge system, dharma. All this is we shared a lot. So given another touch, another opportunity, with the absence of the so-called communism, the people of Bharat and China would be just blending as normal as possible, as normalcy is normal as possible. So that's the kind of relation which we have with the people of China. Though there are a lot of other kind of functional down to the realities like in food habit, etc., etc. That's not a real major problem. But with attitude, with emotions, the mental set, the mental makeup, they have shared a lot with Bharat. So actually China is not an enemy to us in that sense of the term. They have this greed, like Hitlerian kind of attitude. I will snatch the property of others and feed my people. That was the first postulate of Hitler. When Germans are hungry, I will snatch the property of the neighbor and give to my people to eat. That, of course, is no nobility. That's kind of bullying, actually. Others have their own rights. Others have their own space. You get into their space for the benefit of your people. That doesn't justify your action as anything near righteousness or nobility. The Ramayana story, those who as Hindus should know Ramayana story, where the author of Ramayana, who was a kind of barbarian once, he tried to rob some holy people or some very spiritually enlightened people, sannyasis, and the sannyasis asked them, you're doing a mistake. which is kukarma. And why do you do it? And he says, I'm trying to feed my children and my family and my wife. Then the sannyasis told him, do they share your karma phala? He says, of course they should. Go and ask your wife and come, we'll wait. This one goes to his wife and puts it, are you not supposed to share my kukarma's result because I'm doing mistakes? She says, how can you? How can we share the kukarma or wrong karma that you have done? It's your job, duty to feed us and maintain us. How you do it, we don't have a say in it. That's your option. Therefore, whatever you do, you're entirely responsible. With this answer, he was shaken. Then he goes back to the sannyasis who were waiting for him to come back. They rather understood that this is the kind of answer that he's going to get. Then apologizes to the sannyasis. And then from that time he turns his life into spiritualism, etc. Then he becomes a sannyasi, eventually a Maharshi, who wrote out Ramayana. That's Vatmiki Ramayana. Ratnakar had become Vatmiki on a different context because he was a Vatmika had covered him during his tapas. Anyway, so that kind of a situation for the mistakes of you are the only one who is responsible for whatever things might happen. So this kind of attitude of using everything as instrument is a mistake. And someday the thing will come back. Karma will come back. Your instrument in destroying Soviet Union, not that I mean in any kind of support to the communism and Soviet Union. They had problems in China. It's not a right support. But then that was your initiation, getting into their inside matter and creating rift through lots of operations, which you tried in China first and failed, then went to Soviet Union and then succeeded. The Tiananmen Square was your creation that way. So the karma will come back this way or that way, and it might take time, but not that long time. We shall meet again. Namaste. Jai Bharat, Jai Shri Ram.